Well, lawmakers had a lot to say about Treasury Secretary and to Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner during today's hearing. Take a listen to this heated exchange with Congressman Brad Sherman.
Mr. Secretary, it is my time and I'll reclaim it. Are you going to give us the chart or are you going to hide the ball?
I'm not going to hide the ball.
Are you going to give us the chart?
I will reflect on the suggestion you made and see if that is a reason.
In other words, you won't commit to telling the American people how many folks at Goldman Sachs or AIG are going to make $1 million this year.
Congressman, I will think carefully about your proposal.
Thank you for thinking. Let me move on. I'll move on to the next question.
Congressman Sherman joins us now live. And Congressman, it's a good question. I mean, the transparency that we were promised seems to not be as promised.
Well, there'll be transparency about a lot of things, but not about executive compensation.
Well, what about the bill? What about the budget? What about the TARP? We really haven't seen the transparency. Remember, it was supposed to be on the online for 5 days before we passed it, and instead these things are being passed in the dead of night, and Americans didn't get a chance to go through this, and that's why we got the AIG bonuses and so forth. So really, I mean, has it been as transparent as you thought it was going to be 3 months ago?
Well, we got a lot of transparency on the first $252 billion that we gave Wall Street. We got an analysis from Professor Warren, who heads the oversight panel. She quantified how much we got shafted by, namely 31% on average. And so one of the disadvantages of this next Wall Street bailout is it'll be much more difficult to quickly calculate how much we're getting screwed by.
Congressman, but doesn't it make you wonder if all of this makes any sense at all? I mean, rather than going further and having more programs and having more oversight over executive compensation, don't you want to, kind of back away from all this and let some of these companies even perhaps fail in order to let the market forces kick in here?
We ought to protect capitalism from Wall Street rather than protecting Wall Street from capitalism. Under capitalism, an insolvent financial institution goes into receivership, and the creditors as well as the shareholders lose money. That's what we do all the time with all the other financial institutions.
But why not let the bankruptcy courts handle it? Why not let some of this go into bankruptcy situations? I mean, do you as a government want to take on all of these receiverships and all these conservatorships? How are you guys going to find time to do all this?
A receivership and a bankruptcy reorganization are almost identical. The advantage of a receivership is that you have specialists in financial institutions acting as the bankruptcy judge, rather than someone acting under the supervision of a bankruptcy judge who's a generalist. Frankly, I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So I'm agreeing with you.
Congressman, you said next bailout, and the first one barely got through. How do you sell the second one?
Well, the key thing is to figure out how to avoid democracy. How can you transfer trillions of dollars to Wall Street without having another vote here in Congress? They figured out a way to take $100 billion that was approved last year, $100 billion of TARP funds, and turn it into $1 trillion. How do they do that? They have Bernanke and the Federal Reserve put up $9 for every dollar that Congress has approved. Now, Bernanke was testifying that his actions are also authorized by Congress. That was the Congress of 1935 that unfortunately passed a statute that allows the Fed to do almost anything.
Congressman Sherman, thank you, sir.
Thank you.